If you are God's chosen ones, never reveal these 6 things to anyone. Dear beloved, I greet you in the name of the one who has called us all, the Creator, the Sustainer, and the Lord of all that is. I want to begin today by asking you a very personal question. Have you ever felt a deep stirring in your heart? A quiet whisper, almost imperceptible, urging you to something greater, something divine? If you're watching this, I know it's not by chance. You are here because God has chosen you. Yes, you heard me right. You are chosen by God. And when you are chosen by the Almighty, your life changes in ways you cannot even fully comprehend yet. But hear this, my friends. With being chosen comes a responsibility. A sacred responsibility that many do not talk about, but one that is crucial for you to understand. In the midst of all the distractions, the noise of the world and the opinions of others, there are things about your journey with God that you must never, ever share. Why? Because not everyone will understand your calling. Not everyone will celebrate your mission. In fact, sharing certain aspects of your spiritual walk too soon can expose you to dangers you might not even realize are lurking. Today, I'm here to share with you 6 critical things that, if you are truly God's chosen ones, you must protect with every ounce of your being. These aren't just suggestions. These are divine truths that will guard your heart, strengthen your spirit, and help you fulfill the incredible purpose God has set before you. So, if you're ready, let's dive in. I promise, by the end of this video, you'll walk away with a new sense of understanding about how to protect your calling, your gifts, and your spiritual journey. Let's go. Part 1. Understanding God's chosen ones. Now, before we get into the specifics, I want to make sure we're all on the same page. What does it really mean to be God's chosen one? Some of you might be thinking, am I really chosen? Does God have a special plan for my life? Let me assure you, if you've been drawn to this message, there's a reason. God has placed something within you that is unique, something He's chosen for a specific purpose. This isn't about being better than others or more worthy. It's about being set apart. In the Bible, we see many examples of God's chosen ones. Israel, the prophets, the apostles, and even people like you and me who are living today with a divine purpose. But the key here is that to be chosen by God doesn't mean everything will be easy. It means He has handpicked you to walk a path that will require faith, perseverance, and trust in Him, especially in times of uncertainty. But there's a crucial truth we must understand. Being chosen by God is both a blessing and a responsibility. You may have noticed in your own life that when God calls you, He doesn't just call you to receive blessings and enjoy life in comfort. No, His call is often accompanied by challenges, trials, and hardships that are meant to strengthen you and prepare you for something greater. I remember when I first understood this. I was so excited about my spiritual journey, and I couldn't wait to share every little detail with everyone I met. I thought, this is amazing. God has chosen me. People need to hear about this. But in hindsight, I realized that my excitement led me to share things that weren't yet meant to be shared. And in doing so, I opened myself to criticism and confusion from others. So, what does it really mean to be God's chosen one? It means living with purpose, yes, but also living with wisdom. There's a sacredness to the calling that requires you to protect it, to nurture it, and to understand that not everyone around you will be able to understand or appreciate it. At least, not until the time is right. Part 2. The blessing and the burden. Now, I'm going to say something that might seem a little uncomfortable, but I need you to hear it. Being chosen by God doesn't just bring blessings, it also brings burdens. Let that sink in. When God calls you to do something extraordinary, He doesn't say, everything will be smooth sailing and you'll never face a trial again. No, what He says is, I will be with you, through every high and every low, through every storm. There is a blessing, yes, but there is also a burden, a responsibility to live up to that calling. Take the story of Jesus, for instance. He was the Son of God, chosen to bring salvation to the world. Yet his life was full of suffering, rejection, and betrayal. The disciples, too, were chosen to carry the message of the gospel, but their path was never without difficulty. And each of them, in their own way, experienced the weight of their calling. I'm sure many of you have felt this. Maybe you've been called to serve in a specific area, to teach, to care for others, to lead in faith. And while it fills you with purpose, it also feels heavy at times. You may feel alone in your journey, or as if the weight of the world is on your shoulders. But hear me, this burden is a part of the process. It refines you, strengthens your faith, and makes you more reliant on God's grace. In my own experience, I've had moments where I thought, God, why me? Why this path? Why does it feel so hard? But looking back, I see that those trials were necessary. They built my character, deepened my relationship with God, and helped me trust Him in ways I could not have imagined before. The burden isn't meant to crush you. It's meant to draw you closer to Him, so He can reveal His strength through your weakness. Part 3. The dangers of revealing your calling too early. All right, now we're getting to the heart of the matter. The reason you're watching this right now, because you know that there's something powerful about being chosen by God, but you also know that there's a sacredness to it that must be protected. One of the most important lessons I've learned in my walk with God is this: do not reveal your calling too soon. I know this might sound strange, but there's a reason for it. The truth is, not everyone is going to understand your journey, and that's okay. Some people will try to question your purpose, undermine your mission, or even discourage you from pursuing what God has placed in your heart. I've been there. I remember when I first felt called to serve in a way that was outside of the ordinary. I was filled with excitement and wanted to share this amazing revelation with everyone around me. But the more I shared, the more doubts and fears crept in. Some people were supportive, yes, but others, they had questions, concerns, and even criticism. At times, it felt as if I were being attacked for simply following what God had called me to do. What I've learned through this is vital. There are seasons in your life when God calls you to silence, to prayer, to preparation. During these times, it's crucial that you don't reveal everything to everyone. Not because you're hiding something, but because you're allowing God to shape and form you in private before the world ever gets a glimpse of His work in you. Remember Joseph in the Bible. He had dreams, visions of greatness, of leadership. But when he shared them with his brothers, they didn't celebrate him, they mocked him. And those dreams, as beautiful and true as they were, only came to pass after years of hardship, refinement, and God's perfect timing. And that's the key: timing. God will reveal the fullness of your calling to others when the time is right. Until then, hold it close to your heart. Guard it with prayer and patience. Part 4. The 6 things you should never reveal to anyone. Now that we've established the importance of guarding your calling, let's get into the specifics. What exactly should you keep close to your heart and never reveal to others? Here are 6 key things that, if you are truly God's chosen one, should remain between you and God, at least for a time. Your divine purpose or mission. As I mentioned earlier, your calling is sacred. Don't share the full details of your mission until God confirms the time is right. It's not about hiding from others. It's about letting God shape your purpose in private before you reveal it publicly. Remember Joseph and his dreams, but also think of the Apostle Paul, who spent years in silence before he went out to fulfill his mission. Your spiritual gifts and talents. We live in a world that loves to celebrate outward success, but your spiritual gifts are not for you to flaunt. They are meant to be used in humility and service to others. When you reveal them prematurely, you risk using them for your own glory instead of God's. The details of your trials and struggles. There are times when God is working deep within you, shaping your character through trials. While it's okay to seek support, not every struggle needs to be aired to the world. Your trials are a personal journey between you and God, and sharing them too openly can invite unnecessary doubt and negativity. The prophetic words. You have received prophecy is powerful, but it must be guarded. Prophetic words carry weight, and if shared too prematurely, they can bring confusion, distortion, or even opposition. Trust that God will reveal what's necessary at the right time. Part 5. The spiritual consequences of revealing too much now. Let's talk about the consequences. Because, my dear friends, there are very real spiritual risks when you reveal too much of your journey too soon. I know, it might sound like a heavy truth, but bear with me. We are living in a time where everyone is quick to share their lives, their thoughts, their every moment on social media and beyond. But let me ask you, just because we can share something, does that mean we should? I've seen it happen many times, people excited about their calling, eager to share their gifts, and yes, even well-meaning in their intentions, only to find themselves overwhelmed by confusion, distraction, and even spiritual attack. Revealing too much of what God has spoken to you can open doors that should remain closed. Think about it. When you share your calling with others too early, you might unknowingly invite negative influence. Not everyone around you is going to understand the divine path you're walking. Some will be excited for you, but others might be jealous, fearful, or even dismissive. And this negativity can seep into your heart and cloud your vision. I've had my own moments where I shared too freely. There were times when, instead of finding support, I encountered criticism. Instead of encouragement, I faced doubt. And let me tell you, doubt is one of the most dangerous spiritual forces. It can take root in your heart, causing you to question everything God has told you. It can shake your confidence, even in the most sacred moments. But here's the thing I want you to remember. When you keep your calling, your mission, and your gifts between you and God, you protect them. You allow Him to cultivate them in the secret places, where He can refine them without outside interference. There's a reason that God often works in the hidden spaces of our lives, because that's where He molds us without distraction. Now, I don't want to discourage you from seeking guidance. Absolutely. You should have wise counsel in your life, trusted spiritual mentors, prayer warriors, and those who have walked the path before you. But there's a difference between seeking wisdom and revealing everything before it's time. In 1 Peter 5:8, we are reminded that the devil prowls like a roaring lion, looking for someone to devour. When you expose too much too early, you risk opening yourself up to spiritual attacks. It's not about fear, it's about wisdom. You protect what God has entrusted to you by staying vigilant, staying prayerful, and waiting on His timing. Part 6. How to protect what God has entrusted to you. Now that we understand the spiritual consequences of revealing too much, let's talk about how to actively protect what God has entrusted to you. These aren't just passive suggestions. They're practical steps to safeguard your calling, your gifts, and your spiritual journey. 1. Guard your heart and mind with prayer. This is the most fundamental practice. Prayer isn't just a ritual, it's the key to staying grounded. When I say guard your heart and mind, I'm not just talking about staying away from negative influences. I'm talking about keeping your heart aligned with God's will. Prayer is where you commune with God, where you let Him refine your thoughts, your desires, and your intentions. Jesus told His disciples to watch and pray, Matthew 26:41, knowing how easy it is for us to stray when we're not actively seeking God's guidance. Prayer is your spiritual shield, your weapon of protection. Don't underestimate its power. Every time you pray, you are fortifying your spirit, aligning your heart with God's purpose, and preparing yourself to walk through any storm. 2. Trust in God's timing. One of the hardest lessons to learn is that God's timing is perfect, even when we don't understand it. There are seasons in life where God calls you to wait, to stay still, and to trust that He is working behind the scenes. Don't rush the process. I've had to learn this the hard way. I've wanted to share everything prematurely, wanting to feel validated. wanting others to see the path that God was calling me to walk. But there's something sacred in waiting, something that God does in those moments of stillness that cannot be rushed. The Bible tells us, "For everything there is a season and a time for every matter under heaven." Ecclesiastes 3:1. Trust that God is preparing you in ways you can't yet see, and when the time is right, He will reveal everything that needs to be revealed. 3. Protect your spiritual space. It's important to create a space where you can hear God clearly, without the noise of the world or the voices of others. This might mean stepping away from social media for a time. It might mean finding a quiet place to pray daily. Or it might even mean distancing yourself from people who are not spiritually aligned with where God is taking you. When I was in a season of deep personal growth and spiritual awakening, I realized I had to protect my spiritual space. I couldn't afford to let every opinion and every distraction derail me from what God was doing in my heart. Protecting your spiritual space is about creating boundaries, physically, emotionally, and spiritually, so that you can hear God's voice clearly and without interference. 4. Trust in the community God has placed around you. While it's essential to protect your calling, it's also crucial to have a community that supports you. People who will pray with you, encourage you, and hold you accountable. Surround yourself with wise, godly people who understand the weight of what you are carrying. This isn't about sharing everything with everyone. It's about choosing a small group of people who will walk with you in prayer and counsel. Jesus sent His disciples out in pairs, Mark 6:7, because He knew the importance of community. Even the Son of God didn't walk His path alone, and neither should you. God will place the right people in your life who will speak life into your journey. 5. Be quiet when needed. One of the most powerful tools you have in protecting your calling is silence. There are times when God calls us to be silent, not out of shame or fear, but out of reverence for the work He is doing in us. I know it's tempting to share your excitement with the world, but sometimes God calls us to be still and let Him work in the quietness of our hearts. Psalm 46:10 says, "Be still and know that I am God." There's power in stillness. There's power in waiting quietly for God to speak. When we quiet our souls, we create the space for God to move freely within us, without the interference of outside voices. Conclusion: protect your calling with wisdom and patience. As we come to the end of this message, I want you to take a moment and reflect on what we've shared today. You are chosen by God. Yes, you. He has a unique purpose for your life, and He is preparing you for something amazing. But remember, with that calling comes great responsibility. There are things you must protect: your calling, your gifts, your mission. These are sacred, and they deserve to be guarded with wisdom, patience, and prayer. I encourage you to take the time to reflect on the things you've learned today. Are there areas in your life where you've shared too much? Have you exposed your dreams, your struggles, or your mission to people who may not understand? It's not too late to step back, protect what God has given you, and allow Him to work in you privately before He reveals it publicly. You are chosen, my friend, and God has great things in store for you. Guard your heart, trust His timing, and protect your calling with everything you have. And when the time is right, He will reveal everything you need to know. May God bless you, keep you, and guide you every step of the way.